Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll be working on our mind, body, and spirit with a fitness expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, we have an obesity epidemic in this country, and it's a little bit surprising because we know more about how the body works than ever before. The problem is that there's just so much crazy advice out there. I mean, if you start to follow TikTok influencers, every week they're coming out with a new fad diet or fad exercise, and so much of that really comes down to living a healthy lifestyle. Will Turner knows that. He's a men's health, fitness, and relationship coach. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, you just surprised me before the show. How old are you?
I am 52.
52. I mean, you look like you could be in your 20s. And you were telling me that your own fitness journey began as a young teenager.
I was 12, actually working at Gold's Gym. My sister's husband, he was the owner of the first Gold's Gym in upstate New York, and I was one of the clients there working out in gymnastics with my niece, and I would be tinkering. I would tinker with the machines. And the owner came over to me, was like, he wanted me to work there. So he asked me to work there. I was 12. I was like, I didn't know anything about training. I was just playing with the machines.
Sure.
And so long story short, that turned out me ending up being the floor trainer there, training all of the clients and the customers and these big dudes who were working out and looking at them and watching them and seeing how terrible their form was and correcting them. And they all wanted me to train them. So that eventually evolved into me becoming a trainer.
That's incredible. And so your fitness journey then turned to helping others. We've got some video that we pulled off of one of your social media pages. And I want you to kind of talk about how you engage with your clients, everything from group workout sessions to one-on-one.
Yeah. For me, it's all about relationships. I build relationships through my training, ultimately in helping my clients be healthy and happy mentally, physically, emotionally, and socially. It's an opportunity for them to, one, take care of themselves, and then also interact with others in building relationships. So that's the primary focus of my training philosophy in growing a business and a brand to help people take care of themselves mentally and physically.
Sure. And I was watching these videos. You are very strict on form because I know you can easily injure something if your form is wrong.
Yeah, for me, form is critically important above all else. It's not about the weight themselves, but it's about how the body moves and the mind and body connection and movement within itself. So that's how I initially start my clients with functional training, ideally, and then building my way up.
Well, I think you'll agree with me that we live in kind of this magic pill society, and everybody wants something easy, and now the latest thing is Ozempic. And so you still have to put the work in, don't you?
Absolutely. It's very, very important. If we're not doing the work ourselves, there's no point in doing it. And for me, diet is a 4-letter word that I never use. I think that we need to stick to the basic foundations or getting back to the ground roots of what fitness really is, and that's taking care of ourselves in our nutrition and eating healthy, not forcing ourselves to starve ourselves for the sake of looking good, but feeding our bodies and our minds with things that are good for us.
Sure. And people exaggerate. So I've heard this so many times. Well, I could look like you if I spent 9 hours every day in the gym. You don't need to spend 9 hours in the gym, do you? It's just disciplining yourself to do short workouts that are filled with activity, right?
Absolutely. My training sessions are 40 minutes. I think anything beyond that just defeats the purpose. If we're not working with integrity and intensity, there's no point in working out. I had a client who I took on and I'm probably jumping ahead here, who she would be training at the gym, and I would see her like all the time. She was like working out. She was overweight, and I was just like, she's not losing any weight. But it was because of the intensity of workout. So I went over to her and I asked her, I was just like, Karen, like, what are you doing? It's like, I see you here every day. And she was like, I'm trying to lose weight. And I was just like, I'm going to do something for you. Mm-hmm. So instead, I just increased her incline, increased the intensity, and then over the course of a few months, she started losing weight. And when she noticed that, she started training with me. And that was my first client that I built a relationship with because she trusted me enough to be transparent with her, to share with her the information that she needed. Right?
Yes.
And that's important.
We've got some more pictures of WiL and some of his happy clients off of Facebook. And I want to point out that WiL eats his own cooking, because I see so many fitness people who are out of shape. You know, you can go to some of these big box stores and see trainers who you're like, hey man, you might want to get on the treadmill yourself.
No.
It's important to you because you're like a walking advertisement, aren't you?
I am, in the sense of me taking care of myself, and ultimately it's not so much about aesthetic appearance as opposed to the health quality, because you could be overweight and still healthy and taking care of yourself. That's the part that's critically important for me and my clients, and then helping them change their mindset and their relationship with food and how they see themselves.
Sure. When you go down the kind of the diet and supplement aisle of any grocery store, it's dizzying. I mean, you see all these supplements, and so what kind of supplements do you recommend?
You know, I don't recommend supplements to my clients to any degree, because I think that it just creates another limiting factor for them to do the things that they need to do to take care of themselves, because I always ask them the question, is this something that you're going to be doing or wanting to do or subscribe to for the rest of your life? And most cases, it's no. And if it's no, then you shouldn't be subscribing to them at all. Sure. You know, I just don't. It's a safety thing as well, you know.
And it seems like every year there's a new fad diet that everybody's doing. I know my wife has probably read every fad diet book written in the last 30 years. You know, the paleo diet, you can name all these things, right? So what is the secret to getting in top shape?
Man, you are putting me under wire. I think that, again, it goes back to informing yourself, gaining knowledge about your health. Some of these serve a purpose, but only temporarily, if those are things that people subscribe to. I don't want to shame anyone in that process, but if those are things that are working for you and it's healthy, then by all means. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about making conscious, healthy decisions for yourself.
Tell me one of your favorite client success stories.
She's going to probably kill me when she sees this, but my client, Nikki, when she first came to me, we were both new at the gym and we were both nervous and working out. And one of the floor trainers brought her over to me, and we met, and she kind of liked me. We kind of clicked. And in the process of her leaving, she was in such a rush, and at Equinox, it has these huge glass doors, and they were cleaning the windows. And she ran into the door and busted her face, and she came down to me. And there was blood everywhere. And I was like, oh, my God, like, what do I do? Like, do I do CPR? I'm not sure. So then we became really good friends after that, and she wanted me to train with her. And then once I started to get to know her, I realized that she was having problems with having kids. And she was working as a stockbroker on the market. And she was the only female at that time working in the industry for trade in stocks, actually. And having problems with having kids. And one of the things that I shared with her during the course of our relationship is taking care of herself and reducing her stress, because it was the stress that was not allowing her to give birth, and she would always miscarry. But ultimately, after a few years, she announced to me that she was going to have her first son, and we were like so excited. And to this day, I'm really good friends with her. And her son is 12, and then she has another son. Nikki, I'm so sorry I'm sharing this story, but it's the one that I remember, and you're going to kill me. But yeah, and she had the most amazing boys as a result of that. But it was because she wasn't taking care of herself, ultimately, in a nutshell.
Such a powerful story. You also have a very popular podcast. We're going to pull up your podcast page so you can talk about the kinds of subjects you tackle and the people you interview. Tell us about your podcast.
We talk about, the podcast essentially is about people. It's about relationships. It's about talking about the things we all think inside our heads, but too afraid to talk about. I'm super transparent when it comes to communicating and expressing what it is that we socially and emotionally need. And again, it goes back to relationships. So it's kind of like us here. It's like this comfortable environment and setting for us to kind of get to know one another and share our stories and our journey, because it's the journey that inspires others, and letting them know that they can achieve and do whatever it is that they want to, and they have to have a support group. And that's what my podcast pretty much is. It provides a platform for people to
Absolutely.
be themselves.
Well, Will, I can see why you're so successful. We're almost out of time, so final thoughts. What would you like to leave people with?
Listen, I think that it's critically important that we take care of ourselves in order for us to be contributing members of society and supporting one another. I am very big on communication and relationships, as I mentioned before. And without my sisters and my best friend, Kevin, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I'm so grateful to have such a wonderful support group and being part of the community and an advocate for men in helping them do the things that they need to do to take care of themselves.
Outstanding. That will leave you with his website, which is Living Well with Will. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.